You're a concept worth exploring, never nervous, never boring. I don't wanna mess it up. No, I don't wanna mess it up. Crossing state lines through the morning, little tired, little swerving. I don't wanna mess it up. No, I don't wanna mess it up. 'Cause I got high hopes, I got high hopes, but they let me down. They usually let me down. Well, I feel like I know you, even though I've only met you. I don't wanna mess it up. I'm probably gonna mess it up. You're walking down the stairs on a Wednesday night. Sure, it's kinda cold, but I feel alright, 'cause I got you in the front seat. And you keep on looking at me. I got high hopes, I got high hopes, but they let me down. They usually let me down. 'Cause I got high hopes, I got high hopes, but they let me down. Oh, they usually let me down. Find you when it's ready. 'Cause love, yeah, love, yeah, love. Find you when it's ready. 'Cause I got high hopes, I got high hopes, but they let me down. Let me down. "48 hours felt like a lifetime. I know it's dumb, but it's true. But you said you needed some alone time. I said, do what you gotta do. Well, I was gonna write so many songs about you. I was gonna write so many songs for you. You were a lighthouse on the shoreline. You became a glimmer of hope. Well, I wanna think that things change with time, but honestly, I just don't know. Well, I was gonna write so many songs about you. Well, I was gonna write so many songs for you. I was gonna write so many songs about you. Guess this one will just have to do. I was hung up on a dream. Well, being comfortable was not meant for me. But when you walked into the room, I knew that all my plans were doomed. You started talking to me. So tell me what you're thinking, 'cause I think I feel the same as you. She got my knees shaking, to take my heart and break it in two. Didn't wanna let you go. Well, I couldn't find a heart, I couldn't find a home. Well, if you think I'm misery, then baby, you're the company that never leaves me alone. No, so tell me what you're thinking, 'cause I think I feel the same as you. Got my knees shaking, take my heart and break it in two. I'm trying to stay awake till I fall asleep. I'm stuck between a pillow and a dream, 'cause I'm too busy to call. Could we try next week? You can blame it on me. Tell me what you're thinking, 'cause I think I feel the same way as you. She got my knees shaking, take my heart and break it in two. 'Cause all I want is you. Yeah, all I want is you. All I want is you. Yeah, all I want is you. Yeah, all I want is you.
All right, welcome back to Musicians Drinking Coffee in the Backyard, produced by Jerry Seinfeld.
Hello.
I'm Jack Droppers. I'm sitting here with Jason Singer of Michigander. It's great to see you, man.
It's great to see you too.
Thanks for coming to my house.
Thanks for inviting me to your house.
Let's talk about the coronavirus for a second.
Cool.
I've been asking this question when we've been doing these. How have you feel like being shut down for months has impacted your creativity?
Yeah, at first I thought I'm going to make some of the best stuff ever made. And then I realized shortly into that I had no inspiration besides my same old routine every day, you know, not leaving the house. And so quickly that music became bad. And
Bad like sad?
Like just the same. I'm home. Nothing's happening, and like so I decided to like not do anything for a while, and then and just work on the stuff I already had, and not try to write new stuff because I was nervous that it would get dated really quickly.
Yeah.
But there are some songs that I wrote that people will hear eventually that are written about the times right now.
Yeah.
But overall, I've kind of felt like it became rather monotonous. And,
yeah. I've wondered that too about like, are songwriters going to write songs about this strange time, and will that it would be like if you saw a cell phone in like an old Western.
Yeah.
Like, will that feel like weird in 10 years to listen to those songs?
I wonder that too. There's a Starbucks cup on the Game of Thrones set once.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it can be very trite and cheesy.
Yeah.
If you like most of the time when you hear a political song,
yeah,
you're like, they missed it.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of the songs that will come out of this are the same things. I've heard some songs like from some artists that, not that I know, just like some larger artists about this time that just did not hit it.
Yeah.
And I was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So hopefully not too much of that will be out in the world next year.
Speaking of what you're listening to, we like to talk about, we fantasize about like the artist that goes off to their cabin and they disconnect from the world and they make an album and they're like a genius, but that's just not the everyday life.
Right,
and
yeah.
a lot of artists are actually interacting with other people's work and feeding inspiration off that. So I'm curious, what are you interacting with art-wise, whether it's a movie or an album or a I don't know, painting exhibition? Like, what are you gaining inspiration from these days?
I'm really into like not necessarily only stand-up comedy, but listening to comedians talk.
Huh.
Like these long free-form like Pete Holmes type
Yep.
comedians talking to comedians, not like this great show. Two comedians. But I don't know, I really am inspired by listening to comedians talk, because I realize that what their path and how they're doing things is very, very similar to the path of a musician, and probably even harder than what it's like trying to make it in this thing. And there's a lot of bands I used to not like. Two artists that come to mind specifically that I used to like not hate, but like just really didn't get, and now I'm like really into them.
Like, do you want to name drop, or I mean,
Phoebe Bridgers.
Okay.
And the 1975.
Okay.
Like obsessed with both of those bands now.
All right.
And I don't know why. And that happened like over like the last year or so.
Okay.
Like those two bands are just like, whoa, those are so great.
Yeah.
And so I've mostly been listening to like her record.
Mm-hmm. She put out, that's one of those records that she put it out at the right time, and I'm sure it wasn't written during quarantine, but it was like the record for quarantine.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's such a perfect top to bottom record.
It's a good one. So one of the questions that we typically ask at live shows is, what makes an audience a good audience? Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to flip that a little bit, because you're not playing shows a ton right now. What makes like a music listener a good fan, if you want to use that phrase, or a good person like that you love interacting with?
That's a good question. I like people who like are like respectful. I feel like just recently I'm like, people are like, I feel like for so long I was just playing music to like friends, doing like friend rock. Yep. And like playing to just people.
Yep. Bands playing for bands.
Yeah, bands playing for bands. And like in the course of like the last year and a half, 2 years or so, like it's been people that I don't know. Mm-hmm. And like the majority, like before the shows, it was me begging my friends every week, come to the show, please listen to the music. You're my friend. I know it's not very good, but please. Yeah. And they would support it. And then eventually it must have like just tricked everybody into thinking that other people, that it was like, oh, I've heard about that from so and so. Yeah. But I really love the people who like send me like a nice message about the songs in like a personal way.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Like those are always like awesome. Like they don't have them like that often. Yeah. Maybe once a month or twice a month, I get like a message like, this song, blah blah blah. And those are the songs, or those are the people like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But I mean, what makes a good music fan or listener? I think people that are just like, that are like invested in it and care about it. People who like actually type in an artist on the search bar on Spotify instead of just going to like a playlist, or maybe that's how they discover music. But I think like people who are like know, like for me, I'm like an albums person. Yep. I don't know if you are. You seem like that type of person that is just like, that's an album, like, oh, that song. Yeah. I don't know the names of all the songs, but like that's track 8. Yeah. Like that's like that's track. Oh, track 3. Love track 3. I think those are good music people. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Let's talk about the new single. So you put out the song in the midst of not touring, not playing shows. Put out a music video where everyone's got masks on while you're shooting that. Does that change your excitement over releasing new stuff?
I think it was more exciting.
Okay.
Because everything has sucked. Yeah. And it's been miserable all year. And like we had plans to release a whole record this year. Yeah. And like had a plan, or a whole EP, and plans to like do a lot of things that like were on my bucket list. And so like not being able to do any of that stuff was a real bummer. It was a real letdown. And that's the name of the song. It was a real letdown, and so like this was just a little bit of like normal for me, and so getting to put it out, this sounds so maybe this sounds like, I don't know, it just felt like a win for everybody. Like I felt like it wasn't just for me. Like I felt like all my friends were like, because all my friends helped make the video, and like all my friends helped make the song, and like all my friends aren't touring.
Yeah.
So it was just like, there's a song out. It was like, this is like not just like, this is for me.
Yep.
A lot, but like, it felt like this was like a win for like my whole like community of buds.
Yeah.
And like,
that's awesome.
I don't know, like it was interesting filming a music video because it was like the first time seeing people, and we were in like a big like warehouse in Detroit, and everybody like when we weren't filming, if you weren't in front of the camera, you had a mask on, and if you were off camera, like you put your mask on. We were all spread out pretty far, and like it was very odd doing that, and but it feels good, and it feels like the best response I've ever gotten from anything.
Nice.
So yeah.
Cool. You spoke a little bit about this earlier, but I'm curious, as you think about our culture right now, I think it wouldn't be a stretch to say we are a culture in crisis. What responsibility do artists have in a culture in crisis?
I think it's important for people, not just artists, but if you have a platform to like, first off, educate yourself, and secondly, fact check yourself, and then triple check, and then like use your platform to like talk about what you believe in, and what you think, and maybe humbly call out like injustice and stuff. You know, I'm not very good at the humbly part, but
it's hard to do both.
Yeah. Oh, it's very hard to do both.
There's a reason most prophets are hated.
Yeah, definitely. But it's very odd. It's such a weird time, but also like we've been in worse times. Yeah. And the parts of the world have been in worse times. And so I think this is just new for Americans. Maybe like I had a friend and we were like early in quarantine. We had met up for coffee like on Michigan State's campus, like out in a park. And as we were walking back to like our cars, there was a protest, like early summer or whatever. And I was like, whoa, like I've never seen this in my life. I'm pretty uncomfortable. Yeah. I don't know why. I agree with what they're saying. Yeah. I don't agree with violence on any matter. Yeah. I don't think that you need to agree with violence and property destruction, and they're not mutually exclusive. But I was it was like right after like everything happened in Minneapolis, and then I was like in Lansing, and I was like the first time being out, and it was just this like, what is this? I was like, I need to get out of here. Like I'm like anxious. I don't get anxious. Yeah. And I left. But just the funny thing is she's like, oh, when I lived in France, this happened all the time. And so she's like, I was used to it. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe we're just not used to things like that here. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think one of the things for me too is just a reminder of like my experience of America is not everyone's. And I think sometimes it's easy for me to get trapped in that of like, because I am in circles where I live in the dominant culture, I just assume that like I have this experience, so everyone has it. Like even at like Calvin, we talk about like the Calvin experience, which is usually like the for better or for worse mostly the white guy experience of Calvin. And so like it's interesting that like I felt that too of like, oh, this never happens in America, but then as I like actually think about what I've learned in history class and read, it's like, oh, this doesn't happen in the America that I got to grow up in because of my privilege, because I'm a white Protestant male. Like it can be shocking in some ways, like, oh, it feels like the world is ending. And I speak to friends of color and they're like, yeah, this has been going on my whole life. And I think that's why like we had an activist named Bree Newsom out to Calvin, and she talked about like the term woke and like talked about like having this awakening, and like in some ways like you can feel like the awakening of a predominant culture as they say like, oh my goodness, this happens here, and then people who experience that every day are like, yeah, we've been telling you.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's bizarre.
Do you feel like, particularly in like quarantine, when people feel I don't know. I think there's probably like a sense of loneliness that we all sort of share. Not to sound too much like Piano Man, but
Yeah.
but do you feel like your music or like your role in the world has amplified because you're like, this can be a connector?
Yeah, I definitely felt the loneliness, I think, at first. But as far as, like, the music goes, like, I started doing, like, co-writing
Okay, yeah.
and stuff. And, like, and over, like, Zoom.
Yeah.
I've never done that before until, like, because of this. But I think, like, I think the music has, like, I don't know, like, people, like, make these, like, sad playlists for, like, quarantine. You can, like, see what your playlist your songs are on. And there's, like, a bunch of my songs and, like, these depressing sad boy playlists. And so, yeah, I guess. I kind of, like, to kind of
You're
answer
providing some catharsis.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I mean, it definitely for me,
Yeah.
like, writing is, like, a good way to feel better. But I'm not the person who can write every day.
Yeah.
I'm like a person who has to write, like,
As it comes.
yeah. I can't just sit down and write a song. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for stopping by.
Yeah.
You can find Michigander's music wherever you stream. The new single is called Let Down. Check it out now.
Peace and love.
Cool.